Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Tell Your Story. I'm your host, Todd Nesloni, the Director of Culture and Strategic Leadership at TEPSA. And each episode, I look to bring you a different guest who has encouraged, inspired, or challenged me in one way or another, and bring them on to share some of their story in hopes that it inspires you to share some of yours. I am so excited today to talk to my friend, Nida Saeed. Saeed, I'm going to get it, Nida. So thank you so much for being here. I am so excited. So first of all, tell everybody kind of who you are. Did I lose you?
Hi, my name is
There we
Nida Saeed.
are.
My name is Nida Saeed. I am a teacher. I have been growing up in Fort Bend ISD. I moved here from Pakistan when I was 4 years old, and I have been living here in Sugarland ever since. And so a lot of my background comes from the Pakistani culture, and my parents are from Pakistan as well. And so I was kind of raised here, and that's how I adapted to the whole teaching society.
I cannot wait to chat with you today. I'm just such a fan of you and your work and everything. And so I guess I want to start with, as kids, we always grow up with these big dreams of what we want to be when we grow up. Was teacher one of your dreams when you were a kid?
Actually, in the beginning, I was kind of unsure what I wanted to do, but once I got to high school, it kind of confirmed that I wanted to be a teacher. My mom always told me that I loved being around kids and reading to them, so that kind of motivated me a bit. And then when I got to high school, I kind of had a bit of a negative perspective in teaching because there were not a lot of people who looked like me.
Right.
So I wanted to I wanted to become a teacher so I can give kids who look like me an example and kind of guide them.
Right.
And so when I was in high school, we did a mentorship program where we would go to the elementary school and read to the kids. And so that kind of motivated me to become a teacher. And I also wanted to change a bit of the education system and I guess, allowing there to be a place for people who don't know the language or don't know the culture or don't know how to adapt to the education society in America to kind of allow them to grow in that field.
I love that. And, that's one thing that I've been really impressed about you, Nida, is that you are very open, you are very honest, and you're just looking to always just make things better. And, I want to dive into a little bit before we dive into some of the education. You alluded to high school and school in general was just a little bit difficult for you. Tell me a little bit about that experience and how that was difficult.
Well, it all kind of started out with me wearing my hijab. I started wearing it when I was in ninth grade, and I was the very first person in my family to wear it. And it was a bit of a shock because we're traditional, we follow like Islamic guidelines, but wearing this was a bit of a shock. And because 9/11 had just happened, I was in seventh grade. My parents were a bit afraid of how would people treat me. So when I got to high school, I stumbled across a couple of things. I did deal with a lot of racism and discrimination when I was in high school wearing this, but it kind of made me stronger. They say, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And so I pushed. I didn't take it off. I was motivated to wear it, and I want to show people that. Actually, I want to show people like other Pakistani girls that you don't have to change your identity. You don't have to change your culture to fit in. And growing up, my parents always said, we love that we brought you here to this country, but don't forget your roots. Don't forget who you are. And so that's one thing that I always tell my students. They're like, you should be proud that you can speak multiple languages. You should be proud that you come from a different culture and different background.
Yeah.
And so when I was in high school, I felt like a lot of my teachers didn't get me. I wore a red scarf every single day in high school. And so instead of like calling me by my name, a lot of teachers referred to me as like, oh, the girl with the red scarf. And so I was like, so I know my name is a little hard to pronounce, but so it's just stuff like that, like being able to build relationships and identify with your students was something that I lacked in high school. So that motivated me to become a teacher and be like, okay, when I have my own classroom,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to build relationships and kind of help families who are transitioning into America to
Mm-hmm.
help them to adjust into the public education system. Because my parents didn't have a lot of that. They didn't
Right.
speak the language, so it's very difficult for them to help us transition to school.
Yeah, I can't even imagine the fear and the from your parents of coming over somewhere where they don't speak the language and there's nobody there to help and there's all those other concerns. And you mentioned that you were the first person in your family to start wearing a hijab. What was the kind of deciding factor that made you want to do that?
Yes, I was a very first person. So I saw my Sunday school teachers wearing it. I saw some people from our masjid wearing it, our mosque wearing it. I just didn't know why and how. So I was just motivated that they had this beautiful covering, and I approached my mom about it, and she was like, and that's the wonderful thing about my parents. They've always been supportive. They're like, you know what, we want you to be safe, but if you just want to wear it to our family gatherings instead of public places,
Yeah.
you can do that. Um, it took a while for them to adjust, but luckily they were okay with it, and they realized I was very confident and I was very stubborn, and so I loved wearing it. And yeah, there were obstacles in the beginning, but I realized it opened doors to just endless possibilities. And I get to show people that you don't have to change yourself. You can be who you are, and that's one thing that I feel like I see in my culture and in my community. People and a lot of girls and guys, they just want to change themselves
Mhm.
um, to fit in, and I feel like you can be successful wearing and being who you are.
Well, I love that that's your message, and I think that is so beautiful for our kids to be hearing these days, is to know to be proud of your culture, be proud of who you are, be proud of, I mean, and I love that you had the confidence to be able and to wear a hijab so soon after 9/11, where I know the pushback you must have received at school and everywhere just could have been overwhelming. And so I am just in awe by your own resilience. But you mentioned that your family's really proud of being Pakistan. Have you had a chance to go back to Pakistan and kind of experience that country in person?
Yes, that's one thing my parents did. After every 2 years, we would go back to Pakistan, and I spoke fluently English with my siblings at school, but at home we speak like two or three different languages,
Oh
and
wow.
to have to constantly like adjust and be able to switch languages, it was difficult. But then our mind started to adapt. But luckily, my parents took us back every 2 years to show us these are your roots. This is who you are. My grandma, my dad's side of the family, she was very adamant when my dad came here in the beginning that he wanted us to have the roots. And so when we go back, a lot of my cousins are like, "You don't even look American," and so they're like, "We look more American than you do." And so it's just a thing. I'm like, this is. I mean, I always tell them that being American is staying true to your roots. You
Yeah.
don't have to be different or to be an American. Being an American means that you are proud of your culture, your heritage, and that you live in America and you embrace it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. That's beautiful. Well, knowing that you're proud of your culture, you go back and visit every couple of years. Do you have a favorite Pakistani meal?
Actually, oh my God, it's so hard, especially when I'm fasting right now.
I was gonna say you're probably celebrating Ramadan right now, and so you're probably
Right now,
fasting.
I have food going through my mind right now. My favorite, I think my favorite would be something called biryani. It's like rice and chicken, and I'm a big fan of it, and I love making it, especially for a lot of teachers at my school.
Mhm.
I do cook for them, and I do bring them food, and so that does a lot of different things for that. But uh, I'm sorry,
No, you're fine.
but my dad wants to pop in, but it does allow us to do that. But
I love
I'm
that.
sorry, I got sidetracked a bit.
No, you're
But
fine. You know,
yeah.
I love visiting other cultures, but one of my favorite things is trying new food. And so that's why I was interested in kind of what your favorite kind of meal was. And so, you know, you mentioned you're fasting right now. So for people who might be listening that may be wondering, like, why are you fasting? And tell us why you're fasting right now. Did you catch that?
So this is
Oh, there
so
we
we
go.
are coming
Sorry, there's a
toward
little
the
bit of a
end of
delay. My
Ramadan,
bad.
and we are fasting because it allows us to be spiritually close to God. And so during the month of Ramadan, we fast so we can get close to our faith and allow us to focus more on.
Go ahead. Oh, I guess she dropped out. So we're gonna wait for Nida to come back. We're having a little bit of Wi-Fi issues this morning. Welcome to Using Technology. As all of you know, since we are all virtual right now, we have all seen how technology is lately. So we're gonna see if we can get our little tech thing because this is there we are. We're back. Okay, Nina, let's try again. So what I was saying was, you know,
Sorry.
you are fasting right now, and so people who may not know why you're fasting, tell us a little bit more.
Oh, so I am fasting because during the month of Ramadan, it helps us become spiritually close to our faith. And so they say that when you refrain from food and you refrain from other acts, it kind of gets you closer to becoming a better person. And so during the month of Ramadan, we become spiritually close to our religion, and we spend majority of our time in spiritual prayers and allowing us to get closer to God and go and kind of cleansing our faith and even our bodies.
And so you're fasting, but aren't there like particular times of the day that you do get to eat, like after sundown or something, right? I think we may have lost Nida again. Can you hear me now,
I'm sorry,
Nida?
we said that again, Todd. We're cutting off.
Okay, so we're having a little bit of connection issue. There's a long delay, so I'm like, did she hear me? But okay, so I was saying, you know, you're fasting, but there are certain parts of the day where you do get to eat, and it's after sundown, right?
Yes. So after sundown, you do get to eat. It's like a huge feast. It's basically kind of like Thanksgiving every single night. And so it allows us to break and eat with our family and friends.
I love that. Well, Nida, you know, you're in education now and you've been in it for just a little bit. And so my question is, what have you really learned about yourself since you became a teacher?
Can you hear me, Todd?
I can hear you now. So what have you really learned about yourself since becoming a teacher? Our Wi-Fi is being
Sorry.
real weird today. Can
You
you
know
hear
what?
me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So what have you learned about yourself since becoming a teacher?
So I have learned that you have to have a lot of patience. That's for one. And you are always trying to grow yourself. And I'm trying to teach my students that it doesn't matter, what age you're at, you should always be learning. I recently just finished my doctoral program from Houston Baptist University. And so I was just basically telling my students that you can achieve success at any age. And so teaching has allowed me to grow. And I always let my students know that I'm learning from you, you're learning from me, we're learning from each other. And so teaching has shown me that there's endless amount of knowledge out there to teach and to learn and to gain.
Well, Nida, you are such a example of resilience and of standing strong for what you believe in and being proud of who you are. But I know that there's got to be those days and moments where it really gets to you what others say or what you think about yourself, or that doubt begins to creep in. So what do you do to not allow that to take root and take control of your own thoughts?
So I always tell myself that, first of all, I'm not a perfect person. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to have failures in life, which are going to push me towards success. And so I always, what I do is when I do wake up in the morning, I do make a list of things that I need to accomplish that day. And at the end of the day, I write down a list of things that I failed in, because I feel like it's really important to focus for me on failure, especially when I'm with my principal and we're getting appraised and we're going over our T test. The first thing I tell them is, "Well, don't compliment me. I want to know what I did really bad in, so I can focus more on that." And so that helps me understand that it's okay to fail. It's okay to be not successful that day, because it's a little closer to success the next day. And so I always try to calm down, tell myself that it's okay. I will get there. It takes time, it takes steps, and also building a great community of leaders and teachers around you, positive people, always motivates you, because I'm a certain place in my time. There's a certain time in my life where I had a lot of negativity from family, from friends, and so you kind of had to push that aside. And they say that surround yourself with positive people
Right.
so that you're always being uplifted. And so I try to do that. I try to find positive people. If I see that somebody is negative, I try not to let them get to me, or I just kind of change my environment and find people who are a bit more motivating. And my dad always said that if you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And so you should always surround yourself with people who are a lot more knowledgeable than you are. Stay humble and true to that, and always never be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah. I love that. And that is such all beautiful advice as well. And so my next question then would be, when you think of the people who've played a large role in your life and creating you into the woman you are today, who is somebody that just comes to mind right away that was really instrumental at? I know there's several, and so we're not trying to offend anybody here, but who is just someone that comes to mind when you think of who's been impactful for you?
I think the first person that came to my mind was my mom. She came into this country. She was the first person in her family to get a bachelor's degree, and so she kind of motivated me to achieve success in my life. And then getting married and coming here to America and not knowing just the way how to do things, of even just going to the grocery store and talking to the cashier. And so she motivated me to just push myself to get out of my comfort zone. And I look at her and how much she sacrificed for us. She gave up her career, she gave up her time, and became a stay-at-home mom so she can help all of us. And so she was my first teacher. And I would have to say, especially since she fought breast cancer, and she's surviving that. And I keep looking to her, and she motivates me every single day. She's the strongest person that I do know, and that I hope to, be like her one day, even close enough. But she's the one who definitely I think of when I think of inspiration, is my mom.
I love that. That's beautiful. Well, Nida, the last question I always love to ask my guests is, I believe as people, there are things we hold really close to our hearts and who we are. And so for everybody who might be listening or watching today, if they were to walk away with one thing, what would your one thing be?
My one thing would be to stay true to yourself. Don't lose your identity. Don't lose who you are, especially if you come from multiple backgrounds, different cultures. Appreciate that. I know a lot of people who do come to America, they want to just let go of their past.
Mm-hmm.
I say, keep on to your roots, hold to your roots, and adapt to new ones. And so just try to stay true to who you are. Don't change for people. Don't be a people person. Don't be a people pleaser. Just please yourself, and stay true to yourself and true to your culture, to your identity. If you can speak multiple languages, awesome. Keep that. Pass it on to your kids. Don't lose that. And so it just, for me, I guess the biggest thing is tell your story, stay true to yourself, and always love yourself.
I love that. Well, Nida, you are such an inspiration to me. I have so loved getting to know you and was so excited when you agreed to come on today to tell your
Thank
story. So
you.
thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I apologize for all the technical disturbances and my dad saying hi.
No, this is that what I said earlier. Whenever you popped off real quick, I was like, the great thing about the pandemic right now is every one of us have been in these Zoom, Google Meet, Facebook videos where we all know about the Wi-Fi and interruptions. So like, it's totally like everybody's like, oh yeah, that happened to me too. So. But thank you everybody for listening or watching another episode of Tell Your Story. Remember, you can check out past episodes on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, wherever you get it, it's there. I hope today's conversation with Nida has encouraged you to get out there and tell your story because every story matters.